Hello and welcome to Leashing Barguests. And I have unmuted myself. Thank God for that. Just had a moment there where I thought, no, I didn't press the button that I just pressed. So, welcome to Leashing Barguests. I am, as ever, your host Fishy, and we've got something a little bit different today. We have the first session of what I hope will be a regular monthly actual play using my own obsession system. I have three lovely people with me to play this. So I will unmute them and then they can introduce themselves. Okay, I'll unmute two of them and then scroll down so I can find the other one. There we go. Right, now behave, you're all on screen, on audio. So I'll go through, I suppose, in the order that they're on the stream layout. So the first of our guest players is the indefatigable Chrono Magistrate. Welcome to the stream, Chrono.
Hello. Thank you for having me back in one of your games. I'm very much looking forward to this. Howdy, all there.
So anything you want to tell the audience about you? I think the only audience we've got at the moment is Hiram, who knows perfectly well who you are. But
that's fine.
Just in case somebody watches VOD, or this is going to go on YouTube afterwards.
Anyone coming to this later. Hi, my name is Anil, aka Chrono, aka Chrono Magistrate, and I am a chill variety streamer. You can find me hanging out at twitch.tv/Chrono Magistrate or on social media using the same handle, anywhere that good social media is to be found. Though these days that may be perilously few and far between. But yeah, I am a chill variety streamer, mostly focusing on like wholesome sort of like visual novels and things like that. Or hanging out in various discords, playing Magic and so forth.
Okay. And next up we have got Dratacup. Now, I think anybody who knows me almost certainly knows Dratacup. We've been gaming together for more years than I care to think about. But you may also, if you don't know me, you may know Dratacup from her work on Artel Games, Witcher, and Cyberpunk Redlines. So if you've played much Witcher or Cyberpunk Red, there's a very good chance that you have seen some of her writing. Welcome aboard, Drat.
Hello, Fish. Thanks for that. Yes, thank you for twisting my arm and forcing me brutally to be in your game.
To admit that you do good stuff as well.
Oh, yes, shut up. And yes. And for those who don't know me, God help you. Yes. Well, Anil is Chrono Magistrate is a chill variety streamer. I'm more chilling variety streamer. I tend to be found alternating between reading classic books on a book club and shooting people through the skull in things like Sniper Elite, or as of yesterday, climbing mountains very, very badly.
I really liked the look of that. I wouldn't want to play Ken, but it was fun to watch you falling off a mountain.
Yeah. With the assists on, it is very, very playable. And I even used a controller, even though I am mouse and keyboard. Hear me roar. Little bit rattled, but that's nothing to do with you guys today. That's just today is being today, and I'm really looking forward to this because I like OB a lot, and I really should because I helped with some of the rules back in the day.
You were the sounding board that I used to actually make things work, rather than just be my weird convoluted brain output of drawings on a piece of paper.
I speak fluent Fish, so I was able to help with the translations.
And our third player for today, proving that sometimes good things happen if you play with random strangers on a weird Discord server, and you might end up on Twitch, even though you're actually on Twitch anyway, is Busky or Alia. Welcome aboard.
Hi there. I'm Busky, aka Alia, aka Lex. I have a lot of names. And that's not
It's
even all
just
of
greedy.
them. Yeah, you may know me from a host of streams where I'm usually in chat, but as Fishy said, I do also stream myself. I mostly just stream whatever I have access to and which runs on my poor, not gaming laptop. Currently, that happens to be Witcher 3, which is fun. Yeah, I am very much the newbie of the group, and also the young one of the group, as I am reminded of by many people basically daily.
It's not so much that we remind you that you're young, it's you remind us that we're old and we've got to strike back somehow.
Yeah.
Although I have a fourth empty slot currently on screen. We did have a fourth player who I'm not sure whether she's still planning on joining us, but couldn't make the character creation session, and does have some issues with being able to make sessions. So I don't know whether Alexia is going to be joining us later or not. But if not, there was a fourth slot there that potentially somebody else who watches this and thinks, that's cool, I'd like to play with these people, might be able to jump in on. That would be done essentially via the Hobby Gamers International Discord, which if you watch any of Drut's streams, that Discord gets promoted there because it's Drut's server, essentially.
Hello, bot.
Hello, bot, yes.
I knew there was something I hadn't done. You're unleashing bar guests, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right,
And I've
okay.
completely forgotten how to actually do...
Forward
Right,
slash
or right click.
or right click on their
If
name,
you're
yeah.
in chat, yeah.
Yeah,
Hang
unfortunately,
on,
it works slightly differently from here.
No,
Yeah.
Fish, it's fine. I will do it.
Fine, yeah, okay, if you're going to do it, that's fine. That saves me from trying to figure that out. I used to be quite good at streaming once upon a time when I did it regularly. I've forgotten everything now, so I'm just making this stuff up as I go along.
Is it leashing underscore?
No,
It is just
all one word.
leashing bar guests, all one word.
Okay, that's just me unable to type then. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean,
So
I just
in the
need
meantime,
to
I
add
shall...
someone else who's a mod. I'm just
Yeah.
solo.
I shall move on a little bit then. So what are we doing today? Well, this is, as I say, session 1 of an actual play series. This is using the Obsession game, which I released in 2012. It is available in PDF, and also actually it's available POD from Lulu, but don't buy the POD even if you like the look of this game and want to get it, because this is a terrible rulebook. And I admit this is a terrible rulebook. I'm very, very proud of the game, but it's a terrible rulebook. It was never meant to be the core book, and then the books that were supposed to come after it never did, for various reasons to do with my personal life, a lot of which involve my ADHD and chronic depression. Kind of see where that one goes. So I'm working on a new version of the core rules. It's going to be, if it ever gets made, the revised player's handbook and then the game master's toolbook. The revised player's handbook will be everything you need to actually play, and then a whole bunch of additional systems for world design and stuff like that will be in the game master's toolbook if it gets made. And the better this AP goes, the more likely that is to actually happen, because it helps me to motivate myself. Obsession is primarily a D10 dice pool based system, so if you've ever played any storyteller or story path games, so almost anything from Onyx Path, in other words, Vampire the Masquerade, Trinity Continuum, stuff like that, you'll be familiar with the idea of rolling a whole bunch of D10s and seeing how many successes or hits, or whatever a particular game system wants to call them, you get. This is more like old storyteller in that it's not against a set difficulty. A lot of games these days, dice pool games, have moved to being always looking for the same result. So, for example, in Shadowrun, you're looking for 5s and 6s. Story Path, you're generally looking for 7 or 8 or above, depending on the specific game. And then you count up the number, and everything is all the difficulty is changed by changing how many dice you've got. Obsession doesn't do that. The number of dice that you are rolling very rarely changes for a particular situation. Instead, we change the number that you need on the die. This is referred to as a threshold number. And what that means is that you have to roll over the threshold number, which, if I don't say otherwise, will be 4 for any given roll. If it's different to that, I will specify the difference, and various modifiers such as, for example, trying to hit a specific body part in combat. That will be done by modifying that threshold number. There's also, however, just to make it versatile, this is what it does. It doesn't complicate it. It makes it versatile. Trust me. There is a thing called a success target. The success target is 1 unless I say otherwise. And that's the number of successes you need to roll in order to succeed. Anything beyond that is an extra success. And those can often be used to get different effects. Sometimes those might be specific things that you can spend those points on. In combat, for example, you can use extra successes to alter your hit location or to check or to increase your damage. In other situations, it might just be that it gives you a better result. And the more successes beyond your target you get, the better you have achieved. And often that's just purely narrative. That if you're trying to write a poem, for example, the success target is probably 1. If you get 1 success, you've written a poem. The more successes you get, however, the better your poem's actually going to be. So that's the basics of how obsession works. There's quite a lot of crunch in the game, but at its core, you're always going to be rolling a number of dice and seeing how many successes you get, with one exception, which is the saving throw. Now, anyone who's played D&D is familiar with what a saving throw is. Something is happening and you just have a simple yes or no resistance to it. And the saving throw in Obsession is done with a percentile roll against one of your attributes. Though, again, rather than modifying directly the roll or the number, you have a save level. If I don't say otherwise, the save level will be 3, and that is 100% of your attribute. Lower numbers up your attribute by a percentage of that value. It's not a straight +3 or +20 or whatever. It is like 120%, 150%, that kind of thing. And going the other way, higher numbers use less of your attribute. And just for convenience, I've got a little chart that I can look these things up on. So for an average person would have a 50 in most attributes. So obviously save level 3, they're going to need to roll 50 or less. At save level 2, it's 75, and it's 100 at save level 1. And then going the other way, it goes down to 13 at save level 6, which is the highest possible save level, because you're just using a percentage of your value. So yes, there's maths involved, but on the other hand, it's easy to make up a little chart like I have done there, so that you can just look up the closest value and then adjust it, and it's very easy to figure that out. Plus, saves don't happen that often, to be honest. Yes, someone's sound is...
yeah, it's Kronos.
I have not yet been able to figure out who, because I haven't been looking at the audio coming through.
Oh.
It sounds like
It's
there's
your
connection.
mic again. I think it's your mic again.
Yeah. If you're touching
Great.
something
Just
there,
looking
that's
at
it.
looking at the audio mixer while it happens.
Yeah, because I'm not running
definitely
this through
Kronos.
my OBS. I'm not running my mic through my OBS where I have a noise gate. So
It's it sounds like a slightly iffy connection.
yeah,
It does,
It's got that bustle.
Yeah, this has been going on since last year.
Oh, all right.
yeah. I don't know about
Shut up then.
Let me.
We were fighting it on Kronos streams before Christmas.
So this is no comment on you at all, Chrono. But when I do when I do the introduction to start us actually playing, I might mute you while I do that.
It's always fun when you're adjusting a mic because it sounds like you're having a punch up in the bag of crisps. And I know it's nothing and no shade.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to mute Chrono on stream, and I am going to give the introduction to the game, At the end of which, I've got some role-playing situations to throw you guys into that will let us introduce the characters for our game. Welcome to the world of Chthona, a world moving into a new era as the established nations reoccupy a previously abandoned continent. For 800 years, the Assyrian Empire dominated the world, spreading the monotheistic Church of the Allfather to all nations and establishing human domination over a world actually containing several intelligent species. Humanity are, according to monotheistic belief, the chosen people of God, having been created by him to serve as his soldiers in a war against traitorous false gods. The elfish peoples are deemed heretical, but perhaps strangely there's never been a crusade against them. The elves had retreated to isolated settlements and minor kingdoms long before the Assyrians rose to power, and are distrusted and mysterious rather than viewed as an unholy threat. The dwarfs are semi-integrated with human civilization. Many dwell among their taller cousins, and those tend to respect, even though they do not commonly follow, the monotheistic church. Within their mountain and sub-Chthonian halls, the dwarfs revere their ancestors and their own creator deity, but do not easily speak of him to outsiders.
Yeah.
The other short folk, a race who even call themselves halflings, exist entirely within human lands. If the halflings ever had their own lands or religion, then it is long abandoned in the past. Originally hailing from a few neighbouring heritali princedoms, halflings have been spread across the known world by the old Assyrian Empire. Falling outside the civilized land are numerous peoples classified as barbarians. Unconquered, sometimes unwanted by the ancient empire of Assyria, some of these barbarians are human, but deemed the greatest threat to the new frontier of Goredrosol are the orcs and goblins of myth. According to the Church, these races were created by God's enemies, and it was in order to halt their control of Chthona that the Allfather created his own children, humanity. The goblins turned upon their creator, not seeing the light of the Allfather's truth, but fearing his might. They abandoned the war and hid in isolated and dark places across the globe. Goblins are pitied and despised by humanity as a whole, but they are also feared on a personal level. The orcs, meanwhile, remained true to their creator, and their war against humanity raged across the world. Eventually, after the Allfather slew the orcs' patron demon, they crumbled and were driven from most of Chthona. Small, uncoordinated orcish tribes can still be found in the world's less inhabited territories, but they have long since ceased to be a real threat to the realms of humanity. The ancient empire fell more than 6 centuries ago, unexpectedly challenged by a previously unknown neighbour, the heretical human nation of Corona. 3 centuries later, the last of the human colonies on Goredrosol departed or died, leaving the continent in the hands of barbarians, creatures, and the last great dragon. 200 years ago, the first new settlers arrived in what is now called Kalwin's Bay, though they feared to spread north into the lands of the dragon. It took the bold actions of a group of independent adventurers to enter the ruins of Verdulium and slay the beast, ending the last of the godless ancients and opening the way for the resettling of Verdulium. 150 years later, at Helm's Peak, the city which grew upon the remains of Verdulium, is the most influential of the 3 cities of the Peak's Edge region. It is to Kalwin's Bay that our protagonists have come, each having their own reason to emigrate to the new frontier. Making their separate ways to the continent, they have most recently sailed from the port of Valyar in Greater Kundaim. The journey took a long time, and I would like to start with some role-play encounters to introduce the characters. For each of 6 points in the journey, I shall roll a die, which will indicate the first PC involved. I will then ask that player to roll a die to determine the other party involved, which might be a PC or might be an NPC shipment. Let's get Chrono back in at this point. So, I am going to roll to see who's going first. Isn't it exciting?
Can I just check if folks are still getting the audio buzz on my mic?
Yeah,
There
we
it
weren't,
goes.
and we down now.
I was
Somebody
about
came
to
in.
say I haven't heard it yet, but then there it is.
It's only intermittent though, so it's
So-
not egregious.
Okay, I might have to just
Apologies
you might
to
just have to bear with it for now until I can figure out a noise gate.
Yeah. Apologies to any viewers for that. The technical issues, I'm sure we'll get them sorted at some point. If it's only that, we figure out a noise gate on one or other end of this call. I'm sure there's a way to do it. It's just not something we've worked out in advance.
I might mute my mic while I'm not talking. Then
You should
Okay.
go press to talk, maybe.
Press to talk is a pain in the neck, but it's
Yeah.
whichever works easier for you, isn't it?
Yeah, guys, having a button for that is just going to be awkward right now.
Do I have to specify?
Okay. So just because naturally that is the way things work, I roll
fair enough.
immediately for the first character involved to be, to be the one with the audio issues. So,
Excellent.
Chrono, we come to. I've suddenly forgotten your character's name. Corvin? Yes, Corvin.
Corwin, yeah. Corvin, sorry, yeah.
We come to Corvin as the ship that you have that you are on is departing the harbour of Valya. Would you like to roll me a d10 to see who is present with you as you watch the harbour shrink away?
D10 is a 5.
A 5. Okay. So, taking a brief break from having been yelling at a lot of people just a few seconds ago, is the ship's boatswain, a Kundaima by the name of Udrait. He steps up alongside you as you're standing at the rail watching the harbour depart, leans his head slightly to one side and says, "First long journey?"
First long journey by boat.
Well, the Rose is a good ship. You'll not have too much trouble, but one can never be sure about the waters. Could be rough weather ahead, but it's the right time of year. You shouldn't have too much to be concerned about. You're heading to the new frontier, then?
Yes. And
Got a life in mind, escaping an old one? If I'm being nosy, I don't care.
Corwin laughs, but it's genuine, if a little brittle. Family. Best. I felt it best served getting away from them for a little bit.
Family's always difficult. Still don't understand why so many sailors have so many of them. The captain has 3.
I'm sure he's been in more ports than that.
Ooh.
Well, he's a picky man, our captain. He's very choosy.
Yeah.
Well, while we're
Corwin
here,
turns
I think
around and
a
kinda like,
description of Corvin might be a good idea. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there. You say what you were
No,
saying, and then maybe give us a description.
Corvin like turns away from the sea and kind of like leans back, elbows on the gunwales, and looks across the deck in the other direction, not looking at the boatswain as they chat. Corvin at present is tall. I mean, the first thing you notice about Corvin is he's tall. He is 6'5", and
tall.
and well built. He's wearing good quality, like outdoor clothing. Like he's wearing clothing appropriate for the weather. It's mostly in sort of like forest greens, good quality, like tans and such. He favors muted colors that would help him blend in with the natural environment, and he carries that through most of what he wears. On the kind of like breast of his tunic, there is a house crest. We haven't quite decided what house or princedom that would be yet, but yeah, indicating that he does belong to a like mid-ranking noble house of a princedom of Gredicon.
There's one.
His hair at present is kind of like down mid-length, kind of covering one of his eyes, and he tends to wear it that way when he is not out in the field or such. Kind of like almost as a, when you wear your hair as a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Because he is not.
I know what you mean?
He is not the best socially. He's tall, polite, and awkward in social situations. But he is much more comfortable.
Create in Kundam, I'm now tempted to have him come from the lakeside manor of Veronica.
Yeah, aside from that, he's outfitted for the outdoors. Whilst he doesn't have his bow on him right now, you can definitely tell that, like, if you look closely at his hands, were they not in gloves, you would note the calluses of a bow handler, and such.
Okay. Well, I think unless there is something that you particularly want to bring up,
No,
we'll wander off and get back to his work at this point.
what he will inquire about are sea animals. Like, are there any? Like, does the boat? He says, like, he talks about, he's heard stories of boats being followed by fish and other larger animals. Is this been his experience, or
that happens? There are the really big ones. Just don't pay any attention to boats, which is a problem sometimes because they are big enough to swamp or sink smaller vessels. But you can usually see them early enough to, avoid them. The small ones, I say small as big creatures go. Fish you can actually see from the deck of a ship following the boats. That happens. It may even happen on this journey. It does on many. There are many a sailor's tradition and legend connected with such things. Everything from mermaids to bad luck for killing one. Don't hold with these superstitions much myself. I'm a practical man. You have to be on the sea.
If my character is anywhere near you, I copy in such epic side eye for that.
Okay, so Odrite will suddenly spot a sailor doing something that either he shouldn't be or not doing something that he should, and head across the deck, bellowing out more instructions. Very much doing his job of making sure the captain doesn't have to do everything. Leaving you alone at the deck. You've turned your back, perhaps psychologically significantly, on Valyar Harbour, and are looking across the deck and out across the wide expanse of ocean. There are a couple of other people on deck at the moment besides the crew. You saw other passengers boarding. You also saw quite a lot of trade goods and supplies being loaded on board before you set off. So you know that there are other people around. They're just not here at the moment. Yeah. Perhaps they're settling themselves into what passes for cabins on a boat like this. Mostly, a lot of the space is just one big area. There are a couple of private cabins. It's possible, given your background, that you have one of them. But the less socially grand passengers are pretty much either in hammocks or on the floor in a couple of large rooms.
Yeah, given status, I probably do have one of them paid for by the family for whatever reason it is that I am here.
If you're going, you're damn well going in style. You know? not having you make us look bad by going like a peasant. Okay. So, unless there is something that you wish to tell us about Corvin's thought processes as he stands there, we will move on and see who comes.
He will. What he will do then is, on the basis of what the bosun has said, we have set off. You say,
yes,
we are underway. Okay, yeah.
The harbour is shrinking behind you as you sail off into the ocean.
What he's going to do is he's going to head towards the stern and just lean out and look behind the ship. And if he sees anything of like any animals of interest, he's going to pull out like a scrap of parchment and a piece of charcoal and just start sketching. So, and that's pretty much what he's going to be doing. Like when he's on deck, that's like all reading.
Right.
Assuming that the weather is clement.
I'm going to re-roll this until it doesn't say chrono. That's 3 in a row so far. 4.
There is no Dana, only chrono. No, wait, hang on.
Finally.
Am I the only name on that list?
Yeah.
That table is just all me.
Yeah, it's just all chrono, and there's one at the bottom, GM's choice. Okay, so the next point that we will focus on is a few hours later, quite a few hours later, in fact, as night falls on the ship for the first time, and we find Drut's character on deck at this point. So, who is your character? I don't actually. Oh, yes, I do know your name. It was
Sean.
That was it.
So the brother, by the way, is partaken. Yes, he is with us. I hate to have to say this. He's clingy.
Yeah. that is perfectly reasonable. It makes absolute sense that unless, because he's not that much younger than you, is he? He's not a child.
7 years.
He's young.
No, he's 7 years younger than me. So, given that I've arbitrarily decided she's 22.
Okay, yeah. So he's old enough that it's not. Yeah, you're not here on your own because he's already been put to bed. No. So he will be up here with you. Yes, gazing up at a wide, clear sky full of stars. You're far enough out on the water now that the light pollution from the cities has been left behind you. They've not yet lit the lamps. There you can see sailors making the preparations to light the ship's lamps at this point as night is falling. But the sky is darkening, and looking up, you can see more stars than you have ever seen before in your life. And if you'd like to roll me a d10, we'll find out what third person is with you here.
That is a 4.
A 4. Okay, apparently it's all about the ship's crew today. Because as you are gazing up, the ship's captain, Captain Arius, who you may gather from the name is a Lunman, which is the race that was once the Empire. It was the Arisen Empire, but they have now become the new nation of Lunma since the Empire fell. And he comes strolling across the deck. His stride is purposeful, but although he's heading in your direction, you don't get the feeling that he is coming specifically because there is something he wishes to talk to you about. You get the impression that he just always strides with that purposeful gait wherever he goes. And he is simply heading across to where you are by mostly coincidence, or possibly just because he's given his orders for the moment and has nothing else to do. He nods a greeting to you, but doesn't actually say anything as he approaches. And then, he looks at your brother and looks up at the sky, and you see a sly smile cross his face. He's trying to remain po-faced and failing as he sees this young boy, seeing the stars in their glory for the first time. So we can start with a description of both of you, since you have your NPC dependent.
Okay. She's growing her skills as she goes. By the way, Fish, I'm doing it. I just can't type and talk. Sharon is. I actually have her build and everything. Sharon is about 5'6" and is made of muscle. She is brown-haired, brown-eyed, and she doesn't seem to blink enough. She's always watching people. She has good cause. She's slightly paranoid, but only slightly. She tends to wear lesser condimer fashion at all times, with a tendency towards practical leathers. And she seems fairly at home on the water. This is definitely not her first time on a boat. Her brother, by contrast, is taller and currently slightly slimmer than she is. And he is fair-haired. And if you could call him naive, I mean, that would be cruel, but probably accurate, and more or less only by comparison to her. So she is, if he is in the vicinity, she has her attention at least partially on him. There is a degree of watchfulness. The paranoia is not necessarily on her own behalf.
Okay.
So anybody who acts threateningly or appears to be mocking Partik is going to receive at least a verbal confrontation or query or clarification. She's a damaged soul.
Aren't we all?
I know what she rolled. I've got her life path in front of me. Oh, Lordy Dicks.
Yes, I should say for any viewers that we do have, we have rolled up a certain amount of background for each of these characters. So in addition to their stats and skills during character creation, we also rolled up what family they have, some events that happened in their past, things like that. So those will not directly feature here today, but they are there to be brought in as necessary for whether they're being used as just role-playing fodder by the players or indeed to spark events during the campaign.
And mine came straight out of a soap opera.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So did mine, to be fair.
Well, yours
I think
always
yours is
do. I
less
remember
bloody.
your traveller character.
Yeah, if you want me to have a character who is at all has a chance of decent mental health, don't give me a life path system. Just like I'm cruel to my characters, but usually not cruel in this way.
Did you say it was the captain came over to us?
Yes, this is the captain, Captain Arius.
Captain, how long are we likely to be on open water?
Yes. Now you asked that question deliberately because, in some unconscious level, you know that I didn't bother to measure the distance and work out how long the journey was. But he will tell you, even though I, as a GM, in this instance, cannot. I was focused on what the events when you got there, rather than the journey. Unfortunately, I will have to work that out, and because this adventure that we are starting today is not tailored to these characters specifically. This adventure is designed to. This is going to get written up to go into the rule book if this ever actually gets properly written up and published. So that's something that I will need to put into that, but I have not yet done it for today. You're sailing between continents in an effectively medieval boat, so it's not going to be a quick journey. It will take a while, certainly a number of days.
Okay, that's reasonable.
And he will, as he's telling you this, he will reach out and tap your brother on the shoulder to get his attention, so he's speaking to both of you, and then point up, and he will point out the equivalent on Chthona of the North Star, and then he'll give a little bit of a brief description of how that is used for navigation, and he'll then guide you to a star to one side of that, and say that star there for the next couple of days will be our guiding star. So long as we are headed towards that, we're going in the right direction. He's aiming his words more at your brother than you, but he is including both of you.
Yeah, she, as he pointed out, she's going to be flicking her eyes up to the sky and then back down to him, just in case he decides to try and pull something. But she will respond with a question as to a couple of the other stars, based on the fact that her mother was a seafaring lady. She was an experienced sailor.
Yeah. Okay, so you can.
So she's kind of inherited an interest in the subject, if nothing else.
So you can demonstrate that it's not a complete mystery to you, and also throw in a few nautical phrases picked up from your mother to reinforce that, and perhaps bond a little bit with Captain Arius. And I think this would be an excellent time to demonstrate how the game mechanics work.
Please don't do it for a skill I haven't got yet.
The first thing to note is there is no charisma skill, no charisma stat in Obsession. I deliberately didn't put a charisma in. There are a number of optional advanced stats, and charisma comes in at that point, as does appearance. But for the base game, there is no charisma. Instead, it is just down to skills and brain power as much as anything. Usually, you'd be using perhaps intuition for such a thing, and an appropriate skill. Now, there is the socializing skill, which has a number of specialities. The way skills in Obsession work, each skill is quite broad and has a number of specialities. So you will usually develop one speciality for that skill, and then you can use half its value for anything else that comes under that skill. So in the case of the socializing skill, for example, the specialities are carousing, debate, rhetoric, and seduction.
Yeah.
And although it may seem, I'm actually going to class this as seduction, because it's not obviously not sexual seduction, But seduction
No.
is about luring people in and forming
Yeah.
a bond. It's not just about, trying to get into their breeches. So this would be
Yeah.
a socializing seduction skill. Now I'm
Okay.
pretty much assuming you do not have
Uh,
socializing
Oddly
seduction,
enough,
but you might
I
have one of
even
the others.
yes, as I am putting my skills together, which everybody else has got, so I apologise for that. I was actually in the process of taking socializing carousing as one of
Okay.
her adult skills.
So, yeah, that means that you will get half of your carousing rank when attempting seduction in this context.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily tied to a specific attribute. I don't like games that tie skills to attributes too closely, because there are many circumstances where they can be used differently. A classic example, for example, would be in a modern day game, if you wanted to know about a firearm and understand sort of, its capabilities and range and so forth, that would maybe be rolling your firearm skill with intelligence rather than with agility, which you'd normally be shooting it with. So I don't like tying things too closely together. Whenever the skills are not too closely tied to an attribute in any game, I like to give the player a choice of what attribute they are going to roll it with and justify it to me. And if I agree with their explanation, then yeah, you're fine to roll that. My suggestion would be obviously intuition, because that does cover, it covers intuition, really, gut instinct, amygdala-based reasoning, and is a reasonable thing. So it also does kind of include empathy. Under other circumstances, I don't think it would be suitable for this instance, but you might, for example, also use determination if you are particularly setting out with a determination to bring someone round to your mind. Then you might actually roll your skill with determination instead. I can't think of many opportunities why you would seduce someone with strength, but I actually know that's probably wrong. That one actually is pretty obvious in some context. Maybe constitution is a harder one to rationalize. So yeah. And this is what's called a combined roll. So a combined roll uses one of your attributes and one of your skills to form a die pool.
Okay. Right.
I mentioned earlier that the attributes are on a percentile scale. You're not rolling that many dice. Nobody's ever rolling that many dice. Each attribute also has a skill value, rather, which is 1/20th of the percentile value. So on average, a normal person is usually rolling 3 dice for their attribute.
Yeah. So I'm currently packing 2 ranks in socializing carousing, so I get 1 rank of the skill for seduction. And my intuition, which I am going with, has a skill value of 3. So I've got 4 dice, 4d10. I make it.
Just realised that I should have some sound going on here, and I forgot to turn it on.
Point. I actually had that muted.
So spot the ADHD person here. Let's trigger some sailing sounds.
I'm sorry, you could literally throw a stone.
Admittedly, basically, if you throw a rock at this stream, you are guaranteed to hit an ADHD person at the moment.
Yeah.
And they'll get annoyed with you. Don't throw rocks at ADHD people, please.
We'll throw them back.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yes. Where did I pop out your stream to? I put it there. Right, okay. We popped the player out to another window, have I? Where? That's an adventure. Good. Where have you put it? Thank you. So it's behind windows, which is always fun. Oh, yes. I hear a little silhouette of a seagull.
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody, if they are anywhere near her, will be eating food in the open if there are gulls around. She's not stupid.
She's seen gulls before, yeah.
She's
We're
seen
not
gulls,
sponsored
she
or
is
anything
familiar
by
with
them,
gulls.
but the sound that I'm using comes from the Sirenscape player, which is an excellent tool for running role-playing games with. It has both an online player and also an app that you can download. And you can either subscribe to it to get access to vast numbers of sounds, or you can just buy the individual sound sets that you need.
Mine are mostly horror and sci-fi.
Shocker.
I think says a lot about me. Right, yeah. So I am rolling. Did you say I need 6s, or am I hallucinating?
No, the default threshold number is a 4, which means you need to roll
Right,
5
okay, so I need
or
5s.
higher.
Okay, so I've got 4 d10s. I actually have 8 d10s because I'm using my double up dice, but I'm only rolling well, the big ones.
Okay.
And I need 5s, so that is a 6.
I have dice like
and
that
a
as well. They're very
9.
cool.
Yeah, a 6 and a 9, and we're ignoring the 4 and the 2.
Okay, so
Two
that is
successes.
2
Or a
successes.
success level of 2,
So,
isn't it?
yes, it is a success level of 2. The success target on this was 1, so that essentially means that you have got 1 extra success on this.
Yeah.
So, if I just look at the little chart, we can see that that is an adequate success. So if you'd only got 1, if you hit your success target, then you have succeeded, but you've barely succeeded. It's not, there's not a penalty for doing that. It's just that you have just done the minimum that is required. You've done a little bit over the minimum that's required. It achieves its goals quite adequately, but isn't impressive. Nobody is going to start applauding over 2 successes. Nevertheless,
Right.
you have got on the captain's good side here. You have formed a little bit of a bond with him and drawn him out a little bit so that he's not just... You get the impression he was kind of giving the usual spiel that he gives to either calm passengers or when talking to younger passengers. Obviously, he's used to carrying passengers on the ship, not just cargo, because he has this routine that he can use. But you draw him a little bit out of that and get a few anecdotes from his past as a ship captain, and form a reasonable temporary relationship.
He's extremely interested in how he manages his crew, what sort of people make good sailors, and what kind of threats he's encountered on the water. Would be that people or monsters.
Yeah, in terms of threats on the water, he really hasn't experienced much at all. There was a time when one had to be a little bit careful when sailing, particularly on this run. There is, he will raise a myth. A lot of lesser Kundimers believe it, but it's not widely accepted by the rest of the world that the lesser Kundimers actually found Goredrosal before the Assyrians did. But not being particularly a colonial nation, they didn't really do anything with it. They sailed, some Rauni raiders sailed over to found this new continent and found that there was really nobody there to raid, so kind of left it alone. But there was a time, since they knew full well where it was and how to get there, that as the empire, even post-empire, because it took some time after the fall of the empire before Goredrosal was finally abandoned, that raiders were indeed striking the Assyrian towns, the ex-Assyrian towns on Goredrosal. But they haven't restarted. The Rauni traditions have not died out. I mean, you know this, you are Lesser Kundimer yourself. have not
Yep.
completely died out, but they are now just there's a small subset of lesser Kundimers who still hark back to those days as seagoing raiders before they were conquered essentially by the Greater Kundime, the mainland.
Yes, she is very interested in that, of course, because that's where her sympathies lie.
Yes.
Yes, and when she grows up, she would very much like to be a pirate queen, please.
So yeah, you will get from this conversation the fact that the post is definitely open. There's nobody really doing it much these days. There are pirates, obviously, in small quantities around the world in various places, but they don't necessarily tend to be on this journey. So
Right.
Kundime is the closest continent to Guredrosal. And if you head out northwest from Kundime, as this boat is heading, that's where you will be going, and there's nothing else in that direction. Whereas if you come off the south of Kundime, you are sailing in between the continents of Soratel and Estona, which is where Heratal and Lunma can be found. So there is more passage back and forth within that sea to the south of Kundime. All three nations have ships sailing there, and any pirates, that's where they are likely to be. As for sea monsters, he just laughs at the idea of sea monsters. He's the closest to a sea monster he's seen is a leviathan, which is just the Chthonian word for whale. Essentially, it's not a monster; it is just a whale.
Actually.
And they are huge and potentially dangerous to ships simply because of their size, but they don't actually attack anybody. They're not aggressive. So he doesn't really believe in sea monsters. He's heard tales of monsters on land, and because he's seen so little on sea, he's not 100% sure that even any of them are true. You hear tales coming back from the Peak's Edge and the New Frontier on Guredrosal of strange monsters causing trouble. But he believes most of them to be myths and just people claiming they've seen things that either were never real or have long since ceased to be.
Okay. Right. Okay. So yeah, she's not actually pulling out a notebook and going for this, but she is trying to soak up anything he can tell her about just the day-to-day management of a ship, and sort of how his life works.
Tell you what I'm going to do.
In that
I am
regard.
going to slightly twist the rules a little bit here, especially for what is only an introductory RP, and we'll have another die roll.
Ooh.
But what we're going to do is I am going to ask you to make a what's the skill actually called?
I don't know.
No, right. It's going to be a transportation water roll. Now, do you have any of the specialities of transportation water?
I actually took in my hobby skill. You said we could sub in something from
for your parent. Yeah.
I took small boats.
Excellent.
Because unfortunately, I didn't think large boats would work.
Yeah. So obviously, with this ship, there would be the ship handling skill because this is a ship. So bit of a clue there. So you can use half of the rank of your small boats. This is going to be what we call a skill roll rather than a combined roll, which means there is no attribute being rolled on this, just the skill. I was hoping you'd have the skill because otherwise this would have fallen very flat.
Yeah.
So you get one die, and I am raising the threshold number on this because it's... Well, I'll explain why if you make it. So in this instance, your threshold number is going to be 6, which means that you're rolling one die and you need a 7 or higher.
7. Okay. Right. That is a 8.
Okay. So you get into this discussion with him about managing the ship and how it works. And he starts, as part of this, not just answering your questions, but asking you questions. Asking you, well, how would you do this? Things like that. And based on that die roll, most of your answers are correct. So I am going to give you a use on the ship handling speciality.
Thank you.
So this lets me explain how uses work. The primary way that you improve your skills in obsession is by using them. Anytime that you make a roll with a higher than average threshold number, i.e. if the threshold number is more than 4, that counts as a use if you succeed at it. And for every time you build up a number of uses equal to the number of ranks you have in that skill or speciality, you gain 0.1 added to that skill. So since you only have 1 rank in ship handling, you make a note that you now have ship handling 1.1. That makes absolutely no difference when you roll it, but you've started moving towards an additional rank of ship handling. If you increase your small boats, that's going to overtake that and it will become irrelevant, and you'll effectively lose that. But if, on the other hand, you now spend some time focusing on ship handling, you could build that up so that it catches up with your small boats. And potentially even exceeds it. So you can work multiple specialities. It's just, during character creation at least, more efficient, really, to build up one and rely on the defaults.
Okay.
So there you go. Yeah, you spend some time talking about ship handling, and you learn a little bit about how to use how bigger boats work, rather than just the small ones that you are used to from your background. And I think we will draw a close to that scene, because none of these need to be too long, otherwise we're going to spend forever just getting through character intro scenes.
No, it works for me.
And I'm actually going to not roll for this next one, because we've had Chrono and we've had Drat. I think it seems reasonable to me to now give Alia something to do.
Hello.
So it is the next day, the second day of your journey across the oceans. And for whatever reason, Azura finds themselves on the deck of the ship, looking out at a seemingly unending ocean. You are now out of sight of land in all directions, which it's up to you whether that is something that you find fascinating, disturbing. That's entirely up to you. But if you would like to roll me a d10 to find out who is on deck with you at this time. Do me a favour and don't roll a 6.
3.
Okay. Right, so how I've got this written up is that this is treated as player choice, because you rolled yourself. And you can't be there with yourself, so I made a note that if you roll yourself, that counts as player choice. So your choices are, obviously, Chrono's character, Drat's character, the captain, the bosun, or an NPC that I don't yet know about, who you've decided is one of the passengers or indeed one of the crew on this ship. Who would you like to have this scene with as you stare out at just unending water?
I think Kronos might make sense, since he's fascinated by if creatures might come up to us.
Yep. He's got good reasons to be on deck, so that
And
absolutely makes
Ezra
sense.
will be staring at the water, not the horizon. As much as oh, horizon, there's stuff there.
Okay.
So for anyone, Ezra has been on a boat now for a couple of months. They barely got off at Lesser Kundheim, just long enough to switch from the boat that took them from their home to this boat.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you arrived in. So your last boat took you specifically to Valyar, then, rather than another part of Kundheim, and then you just got off and looked immediately for the next boat moving on. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So yeah, there you are. You have not yet. You might have said pass the salt or excuse me or something like that to each other up until this point, but you have not yet had a conversation in the day that you have been on board the ship. But now the two of you find yourself both on deck with nothing to look at but the water or the horizon, and in each other, unexpectedly in each other's company. So role play away. Give me a break for a few minutes.
So, I mean, what does Ezra look like?
Oh yes, we need the
Yes.
description, of course, of Ezra.
So Ezra, and another convenient reason for it to be Kronos characters, is wear their clothes. Now that you're standing sort of closer than you would have until this point, you can see their clothes are rather richly made, which you never would have guessed given the state of their clothes. Which is their tunic is a very deep blue, and the sleeves, you would probably know this, should come down to the wrists. However, they end at their elbows and are very visibly very, very frayed. Their trousers have a similar fraying at the bottom of them, but haven't really been shortened. This is just, they've been caught on things repeatedly for years. I guess most abnormally, other than the state of their admittedly expensive clothes, is their arms, their forearms, are wrapped in bandages from the knuckles down to their elbow, and they are wearing bracers at all times. You have never seen them not wear their leather bracers. And they have very short cropped, outgrown hair. It is a mess and unstyled.
Kalwin is like seeing them approach. Just pleasant weather we're having. Like, this is like, he's trying to make small talk, but he is not good at it.
Yeah.
This is his family have this is what has been expected of him. Even though he wanted to be like around his family and such, he is still not actually very comfortable in the sort of like courtly situations.
Yeah. As barely sort of glances up, like, yeah, I suppose. Looking at anything interesting?
No, I was hoping to see some fish or other animals following the boat. The bosun did say that they happen to do that from time to time.
Yeah, it's always fun when they do that.
Oh, you're familiar with... you travel on boats a lot then?
Not really. I've just been on a boat for a long time. I've been traveling from Asura, Astona. So, long time on a boat.
So presumably Zara has an accent.
Yeah, it's not... It won't be strong, since they've run around with all sorts of people. But it is certainly a different accent to Kandime, either Kandime.
Yeah. It's actually the same accent that the captain has. Although, I mean, you've heard the captain, even though you haven't had a direct interaction with him. The bosun was very obviously a Kundimer, but the ship's captain is actually Lunman, which I believe is what Ez is.
So
Yes.
From Lunma? He
Yeah.
says hesitantly.
Yeah. Lived right at the edge of the wastes, actually. That's fun.
I'm guessing not much to... much in the way of, not much in the way of woodlands and such, I'm guessing then.
Not really. I mean, I barely left our town other than when I decided to come out here. So never paid attention to it. Was much too busy doing other stuff.
I love how everybody in this party is just reserved and has secrets.
Yes, it makes my job so much easier.
I mean, with Corwin, it's less secrets and more genuinely doesn't really know how to talk to people outside
He's
of
shy,
them
bless
being
him.
a hunter, a bandit, or a member of the court.
Yeah, and
Or all of the above.
Yeah.
as is sort of, they're mostly just very blunt.
Yeah.
And that was no small part of their problems back home.
Which means that, like, because Corvin's experience is social experience is very limited in that respect. He's trying to slot Ezra into kind of like one of those categories, but the
Yeah.
closest he feels like he's coming up with is like the townsfolk / bandit because of his father's.
Yeah.
As somebody who is a bit more worldly and a little bit rough around the edges.
I'm going to make a suggestion here, which is, it's a bit of a, I suppose it's a little bit of an RP tip, not to you, obviously, but to anybody who's watching may not have considered this. Honestly, this scene doesn't have to involve a lot. From the descriptions we've had with the two characters, we've learnt a little bit about these two characters. And one thing we've learned is that spending any time together on deck like this, they're most likely that it would be described with the phrase companionable silence.
Yeah.
I don't think either of them would talk any more than they absolutely needed to. And that is still roleplay, because that is doing what the character does.
Once that line of questioning has petered out, it's like he will just go back to looking at the water and looking for animal signs. And then after about like 15-20 minutes, if he doesn't see anything, he'll kind of like turn around, because he's brought like a small pack, like a small satchel with him, and he kind of like sits down back against the guns and pulls out a small journal. It looks like, or mostly handwritten notes, or like scraps of parchment that have been bound together into like a what I guess these days would be called a bullet journal, but like at that point is his collection of zoological notes, basically. And just go over and just kind of like go over them, just read through his past notes, basically.
Ash will probably, after a few minutes after that, sort of glance down and like, writing something interesting.
No, more just past observations from when I've been out hunting.
Sounds interesting to me.
If you show interest in that,
Oh yeah.
then he will kind of like show you. He will show you like sketches and the notes, and what you're looking at are basically very detailed sketches, like anatomical sketches of animals, but also some like artistic things, like a deer running through a forest. And he will. This is where he is more comfortable. He can talk for ages about animals.
Ash will sort of start. We'll sit down next to him, and we'll sort of be hunching over, clearly actually interested, not just the sort of faux interest of try and get you to talk, the actual interest of, oh, I actually kind of want to learn about this.
Yeah.
Now I
And
feel called out. Okay.
His voice, his speaking voice is a lot stronger now. It's less tremulous, less quiet, and he's actually talking properly. And you note now that his voice is actually quite louder and quite deeper than what he had come across before. A voice that better suits his frame than how he had been talking before.
Yeah.
And then he'll kind of like, as he kind of like winds down, he's like, I didn't bring all of my journals with me, but just one or two in case we come across. I'm hoping to find new things when we get to Guredrazil.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. You might notice now that you're sort of looking up actually from the journal that S has this tiny wooden dog figures just in their hand that they've been holding. They weren't holding it before, but they are now.
Okay.
Seems to have fished it out of a pocket somewhere.
Like he'll kind of note that, but he's not going to pry.
Yeah.
And so that will basically be how he spends the morning until I guess it's time for lunch.
So, okay, yeah, you can, as I say, I think companionable silence is probably a good description for this. Every now and then one of you will say something, but for the most part, you're both just enjoying being in the company of someone who isn't demanding anything of you socially.
Yeah.
Which I think actually
I feel
probably is the strongest bond between characters that we have yet seen being established here. And I think that is probably an excellent time, A, to draw that scene to a close, and B, to take a very quick break. So, people can refresh drinks, get up and walk around, what have you. So, shall we say a 10-minute break?
Sure.
And then I'm going to cheat on the next scene. I am going to roll it, but if it doesn't roll chrono, he's going to be in it anyway.
I don't know if I should feel honoured or picked on.
Definitely honoured. This is an honour.
Yeah.
It's just, honestly, you have picked on, in character, one of the events that I have already got queued up. The next event is going to be a pod of dolphins shadowing the vessel. So if you're not rolled, the bosun is going to call you to deck anyway, because he knows you're interested in seeing them.
Yeah.
So we will do that in just a few minutes after a brief break. So I'm not going to mute... Actually, having said I'm not going to mute anybody, once I swap to the AFK screen, I'm the only person whose microphone will be live anyway. So I will mute me. But yes, stay with us, please. We'll be back in a few minutes to continue the adventure.